before we get rolling with this week's episode, I have a little bit of a request for you guys. So I'm gonna be in the field here pretty soon on my next photography trip, and I wanna make sure that I have some content that can automatically post while I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So I figured it might be time to do another Q&A type video. And in the past, I asked on Twitter for some questions. This time I'll ask here on YouTube. So if any of you guys have some questions, you're curious about the answers, whether it's about landscape photography, film photography, large format photography, outdoor stuff, hiking stuff, backpacking stuff, whatever it is, please ask those questions down below, because I'm going to be recording that video probably within the next 24 hours or so after this video here posts. And that way I can have some content that'll post when I'm out in the field. Also want to take a moment to thank those of you who have ordered books in the last week or so. I think I shipped about a half dozen books or so all around the world, so I'm definitely very appreciative of that. The 2015 book, I have probably about 5 of those left. The 2016 book is 2/3 of the way sold through, and many of you guys bought both of them, so I definitely appreciate that. And also, if you haven't been to my website, benhorn.com, I do offer prints of my photos there. So I offer kind of modest sized prints, 12 by 15 and 16 by 20. And so they're pretty easy to frame, not huge things that take over a whole wall, but it gives a really good feeling for kind of what it's actually supposed to look like instead of looking at it online. But I definitely appreciate any print orders, book orders, stuff along those lines. But this week's video is inspired by a video that Thomas Heaton did recently, kind of showing his own creative space. So I figured I would do a video showing my own home office and kind of how I made it so it's really good for doing the video like this right here, as well as the video editing, the photo editing, photo printing, everything along those lines. I hope you guys enjoy. What is going on, everyone? So in this week's episode, I want to give you a little sneak peek at my home office. It's kind of an area in my house I set up so I can get some work done as far as the video editing, the photo editing, and even this video studio sort of area right here. Have all kind of in my, basically it's in a spare bedroom in my house. And so this is an area that I've set up specifically for this purpose. And I guess, you guys see this view right here all the time, but you don't really see what's beyond this. So I went ahead and set up another camera right here so you can see everything that I have going on here. And basically, I just wanted to have this area right here where I can just sit down and do a video at any point in time where I don't have to worry about getting things set up. And also, I don't want to have situations where stuff is getting knocked over as far as tripods, light stands, anything like that. Actually, I guess it was probably a year and a half ago or so, when I didn't have my camera set up on a pole that spans from floor to ceiling, it got knocked over by one of my cats and kind of broke my Nikon D750 a little bit. So now I have it set up where that can't happen. But I have these auto pull setups that go from floor to ceiling, and that allows me to have everything very movable if need be, but also very stable. So I have a pop-up background right here. 500 watt light here, 500 watt light here, both tungsten lights. I just set my white balance to tungsten and everything's good. But just a simple kind of a boom setup for the hair light there. And then I have the main light right in front of me here. And then as far as the camera itself, I have a Nikon D750, and you'll see that it is mounted to one of those poles as well. And I also have a TV mounted over the top of it. And that way I can actually look at the TV if I'm holding stuff up, makes it a little easier, especially when doing some of the longer videos. But from a video standpoint, this has worked out really, really well for me. I also am able to sort of control the lighting. There's 2 windows. There's one back behind the camera, and then there's one over there. And my wife and I, we put in these blinds where it's sort of cordless mini blinds, but you can pull down the first one, and it's just kind of a sheer one to let light in if I'm doing video editing. Want to have a little bit of light in the room, but have it be controlled light and also where people can't look in. But then if I'm doing video like this, I pull down the next layer, and that is blackout. So if I were to turn off the lights in here, it's really, really dark. So it gives me consistency, which is really nice for doing that. But I've been really happy with this video setup because it gives me the ability to just have this kind of like this open space here where I can just kind of sit down, do some video. And the fact that everything's all set up, everything's waiting for me to go, that works out really well. So next I'm going to show you the other side of my office, which is where I have the printer, the computer, and everything else. So this is the rest of my home office. So I got my computer here, and rather than using a computer desk, I decided to use a dining room table because it gives me a lot more space to work, because I got not only the computer, but I also have the scanner and everything else going on over here. But also I like the fact it doesn't have drawers or cabinets or anything like that, just a clean open space, and it kind of forces me to stay really well organized, which is really nice. My computer itself is a Mac Pro from mid-2010, so it's a bit of an old computer, but I gotta tell you, it handles the really big files from the scans of the film very, very, very well. So obviously I'm not, processing like thousands of pictures at a time, but it keeps up just fine for that and does really well for the video editing. It is a monitor from 2005, but super accurate, so I've got no real reason to kind of change anything up along those lines. You also notice I went with a bench setup as opposed to a computer chair. And one of the reasons for that is so I can be working at my computer over here, then slide over here and have my kind of scanning station. And for that, I have a Epson V700 scanner. I also have a little light box here, and so I can just basically examine the film, get it all set up, got my loop there, and then scan it and slide back over here to work on the computer. And this has worked out really well. I also have this lamp that kind of hovers over the top of it, which is good for if I'm like mounting the film to the little custom film holder that I use when scanning. I have my cat over there on top of my printer. Probably not the best of idea because there's going to be fur everywhere, but I guess he just likes to take a nap there. But I got my printer set up over there, and again, just a really clean workstation. The paper and all that is actually stored in a work closet, kind of back over in that direction. That way everything stays clean, both for the paper but also out here, because I just really like that, just clean space in order to work. In the corner here, got some shelving with some sort of fun vintage cameras that my wife got, because my wife is the one I'll give credit for the design of this workspace, because before this there's kind of a hodgepodge setup as far as different furniture and all that. But she wanted to make sure I had this clean workspace because she knows that that's sort of the environment that I really thrive in. And so basically all kinds of kind of fun cameras there, but I will show you a couple of these in particular. So this guy here, this is a Kodak Hawkeye R4 Instamatic camera. This is actually the first camera I ever used. So just kind of a fun little point and shoot sort of camera. And then this guy, a little Vivitar point and shoot camera. This was the second camera I ever used. So they're just kind of sitting up there looking at me. You'll notice that I don't have any of my actual camera gear up there. I actually keep everything stored inside a big rolling case in one of the utility closets. That way I can basically just take that out when I go on a trip, and I keep everything in the same place, so that way I don't have no fear of leaving anything behind, which is really, really important to make sure that everything has a place. But I just want to thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you around next week.